So hello, this is a video showing the rebuild of an MGB tube type rear axle from a wire wheel MGB GT. So this axle here that's on the bench in front of me is going to go into a Cobra replica, and inside the differential here, which I've got open, are a number of washers, 2 thrust washers and 2 cup type washers behind these 4 gears here. And I want to take all of this apart inside so that I can take those washers out and replace them, because it's a darn sight easier doing it now than it is later on when the thing's in the car. So this video is going to show the dismantling of this lot, replacement of the washers, and also the taking out of the half shafts to replace the oil seals at the end of the axle, at this end and that end. It's not been done in sequential order because obviously I had to do a bit of learning on this project. I have to give some special thanks to a chap called Mike at YouTube who has done a very useful video on this, and I'm not really showing anything particularly new from what he did, except possibly a couple of slightly different ways of doing things and also a different camera angle. So maybe if you can't see something he's doing in his video, you might see it in my video. So I hope you enjoy this, and here we go. So here's a drawing of how this works. It's quite a complicated arrangement at first sight, but basically what you have in the middle is what is called a crown wheel, and that's the really big thing that you see sticking out of the differential, and attached to that is something called a carrier. And the carrier's job is bolted to the crown wheel, and its job is to hold the smaller gears inside it. The crown wheel is driven by I'll just draw it in a dotted sort of way, what's called a pinion gear, and that is what's driven by the engine and the gearbox. So this pinion gear meshes with this crown wheel to turn the whole thing round. Inside, and then into the crown wheel, through the middle of the crown wheel comes one of the axles, one of the half shafts, and into the other end of the carrier comes the other axle. So this is the crown, this is the carrier, and this is the axle. So that's the basic arrangement. Inside the carrier, on the end of the half shafts, are what are called sun gears, and they are bevel edged kind of gears, and they're attached to this axle here. And then there's another one, not drawn to scale obviously, coming through the other side. And these two chaps mesh with a gear at the top that's called a planet gear, and another one at the bottom that's also a planet gear, because they kind of go around the sun. And then these two planet gears need to be held in place so they don't drop out, because these two sun gears are on the end of the axles. So through the middle of this whole arrangement goes a big fat pin. I'm going to draw it a bit fatter. And that lot is held in with a little split pin at the bottom, a roll pin rather. So these two are held in place, and the things we're going to replace are behind here and above and below the planet gears. So here we are back at the diff, and here are the parts again. This is the crown wheel that we can see here, the big wheel. Behind it, you can't see, back in the darkness there, is the pinion wheel coming through from this side, and that's where the drive shaft connects. And then these are the two sun gears, and these are the two planet gears, and there's the big pin that holds the whole thing in place. The two sun gears are held on the end of the axles, so if I turn the axle, you see everything rotates nice and smoothly. A possible clue to the wear that takes place in these things is, you may not be able to see this on the video, but if I hold this sun wheel here steady while I move the axle, there's a bit of play in between these various gears, and this planet gear actually rises up and down because there's a bit of looseness at the top there, and possibly this sun gear needs to be pushed out a bit further by a new thrust washer, and that one as well. And if all these washers are new and all the gears are pushed in close together, they will mesh tightly with no play. But as it is, you may be able to see that, maybe not. That actually rises up and makes a little kind of noise, which, who knows, that might be the cause of clunk. What I don't want to do is put this in the car and then find out I've got that problem and then have to take it all to pieces. So now, put that drawing away. I do look at this drawing. Is we're going to tap out the thing that holds the pin in place. The first thing we're going to do is get this pin out, and to do that we're going to tap out this roll pin that's down at the bottom here. How are we doing? That's coming out. You can see the roll pin coming out the bottom here. There we go. That worked exactly as I wanted it to. So I'll probably be replacing this roll pin when it comes to it. So we take my little screw out of there. The next thing to do, now this is a tricky part, and Mike at YouTube explains this very well. This pin needs to come out. Ideally, I don't want to mesh all that in there. This pin needs to come out this way, so with where it comes out the bottom where the roll pin was. But what you can't do, so you do that by driving the pin down from the top. What you can't do though is drive it too far, otherwise it will stick out the bottom and get stuck in the recesses of the differential housing, and then you won't be able to turn this around or push it back into where it came from. So you have to go quite carefully with this. We just need to push it down so that the hole where the roll pin went is poking out the bottom. So we're going to give that a try. Put something back in there. I'm just going to use this. Again. How are we doing? There we are. So that's poking out the bottom. Now I'm going to stick a screwdriver in here and see if we can pull it out by wiggling it. That's coming out. Let's just see. Yeah, it's coming out quite well. Let's keep going with that. So we can see the pins now come out of there. It's just cleared the top planet gear. But it's all still being held in place. Okay, a bit more pulling I think. There we go. Right, so that's the pin out. Now you should notice, here's the roll pin hole that it went through, where the roll pin went through. There are two flat pieces on here, ground into the side, and they go to the left. So they face the crown wheel. Don't forget that. When you put this back in, it's going to go back in from the bottom. Inside here, you may be able to see, just here, there's the thrust washer. There's another one just there. In some cases, they may be completely missing. Underneath here, I'm not sure if that's visible on the camera, but there is the kind of concave brass washer. And we're going to take all four of those out. To do this, you need to be pulling out one of the axles, one of the half shafts, which would normally be appearing just about there. You'd need to pull that axle out so that it's not in this sun gear, and that will allow you to take one of them out, which gives you enough play to take the other one out. First thing we're going to take out though, put my light back there. First thing we're going to take out is the planet gear. We just roll that forward, and there's the concave washer. I'm going to put that there. In fact, I'm going to write top and bottom. I'm going to pull out this gear, and there's our gear, and that was just held by that pin. Put that down there, and then gently roll the whole arrangement back. Actually, we've gone too far and our gear has dropped out the back. So we just gently put our hand in there and roll it all the way around, and the bottom planet gear will drop out the back. And there's another one. It looks a little bit worn. Not too bad. Not as bad as I was expecting. That is the bottom planetary gear. Now I'm going to pull out the axle shaft on this side. And actually it's just dropped out because I removed it already. And then if we just pull out this gear here, there it is. So this sits inside a recess inside the crown wheel, and this here, that is the thrust washer. So that's reasonably thick, but not as thick as a new one would be. And now if we pull this one out here, there's the other one, and there is the other thrust washer. So now that we've got the gears out of the carrier, we can probably see right through, in fact we can see right through the carrier itself. And if you look in there, that is the pinion wheel, and on the end of that, the other side of that, is the drive shaft, which connects this axle to the gearbox. And